The year was 2147, and Earth had finally reached for the stars. For over a century, humans had fought wars, healed their planet, and rebuilt their cities. Now they were ready to meet the rest of the galaxy. Scientists had found a way to open small doors in space, called jump gates, that let ships travel between stars in days instead of years. It had taken 40 years to build the first one. When it finally opened, humanity stood at the edge of something bigger than itself. The United Earth Council decided it was time to say hello to the galaxy. They built a fleet of 10 ships, shining and new, filled with scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. They called it the First Fleet. Its job was simple: fly out, find other intelligent life, and offer peace. Earth wanted friends, not enemies. After so many wars at home, humans wanted the stars to be different. The commander of the First Fleet was a woman named Ava Reyes. She was 42 years old, calm, and known for making hard choices without panic. She had fought in the last war on Earth, the border conflict of 2119, where she had lost her younger brother. Since then, she had dedicated her life to making sure humanity never had to fight again. When the Council asked her to lead the First Fleet, she agreed without hesitation. She believed in the mission. She believed peace was possible. Standing beside her on the bridge of the flagship, the Horizon Asterisk, was a scientist named Dr. Elias Wren. He was quiet, thoughtful, and one of the smartest minds on Earth. He had helped design the jump gates. Now he wanted to see what waited on the other side. He often said that curiosity was humanity's greatest gift, more valuable than any weapon. The First Fleet left Earth on a bright spring morning. Millions watched the launch on their screens, cheering as the ships rose into orbit and vanished into a shimmering gate. For the first time, human eyes would see worlds no person had ever seen before. The fleet traveled for 3 weeks, jumping from gate to gate, mapping new stars along the way. They found empty planets, beautiful nebulas, and strange moons that glowed faintly in the dark. Everyone on board felt a mixture of excitement and wonder. This was the beginning of something new for humanity. Then, on the 22nd day, sensors picked up something unusual. A large object was moving toward them from a nearby star system. It was not natural. It had a shape, a purpose, and it was getting closer fast. Commander Reyes ordered the fleet to slow down and send a friendly signal. She wanted first contact to go well. She believed that showing peace first was the right way to greet a new species. The signal went out in a dozen languages, along with music and images of Earth, showing forests, oceans, and children playing. There was no reply. Instead, more objects appeared, then more. Within minutes, sensors showed nearly 40 ships surrounding the First Fleet. These ships were sleek, dark, and much larger than anything humans had built. They did not answer the signal. They did not slow down. Dr. Wren felt his stomach tighten as he watched the numbers on his screen. "Commander, these ships are far more advanced than ours," he said quietly. "Their engines, their size. We are outmatched." Ray stayed calm even as her heart pounded. "Keep sending the peace signal," she ordered. "Do not raise shields. Do not power weapons. We came here for peace, and we will show them that." For a moment nothing happened. The dark ships simply watched, silent and still, like predators studying their prey. Then, without warning, they attacked. Bright beams of energy tore through space and struck the smaller human ships first. The Falcon and the Asterisk Meridian Asterisk, 2 escort vessels, exploded almost instantly, their crews gone in a flash of light. Alarms blared across the Asterisk horizon. Reyes finally gave the order to raise shields and fight back, but it was too late. The enemy ships were faster, stronger, and far more numerous. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 10 minutes. Human weapons barely scratched the enemy hulls, while enemy weapons cut through human ships like paper. One by one, the ships of the First Fleet were destroyed. The horizon itself took heavy damage, fires breaking out across several decks. Crew members fought desperately to save their ship, but there was little they could do against such overwhelming power. Dr. Wren managed to send one last message before the Horizon**S communication systems failed. It was not a call for help, since help was too far away. Instead, it was a data packet containing everything the fleet had learned about the enemy ships, their weapons, and their tactics. He aimed it toward the nearest jump gate, hoping it would somehow reach Earth. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge as the ship shook around her. She thought of her brother, lost so many years ago in a war on their own world. She thought of the children who had watched the launch on their screens, cheering for a future of peace. She had wanted so badly to give them that future. "All hands," she said, her voice steady despite everything. "It has been an honor serving with you." The horizon went dark moments later, its systems overwhelmed, its hull broken apart by enemy fire. Of the 10 ships in the First Fleet, none survived. Over 3,000 men and women, scientists, soldiers, and diplomats were lost in less than half an hour. Humanity's first attempt to reach out to the galaxy had ended in complete disaster. The alien fleet that destroyed the First Fleet belonged to a group known as the Kriv Dominion, a powerful alliance of species that had ruled a large part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. To the Kriv, humanity was nothing more than a new, primitive species, unworthy of respect. Their leader, a cold and calculating commander named Thal Voss, had watched the human fleet approach with mild curiosity, then simple annoyance. When his sensors reported the humans' weak weapons and outdated engines, he decided there was no reason for restraint. Weakness, in the eyes of the Kriv Dominion, deserved no mercy. It deserved only conquest. Voss ordered his fleet to withdraw once the human ships were destroyed, satisfied that the message was clear. This new species, wherever they came from, was too weak to matter. He had no idea that one small data packet had escaped the battle, carrying a warning back toward a jump gate, and eventually toward Earth itself. 3 weeks later, the packet arrived. It reached an automated relay station near the edge of human space, and from there it was rushed to Earth. When the United Earth Council received the message and watched the final moments of the First Fleet, silence fell over the entire chamber. Video screens across the planet went dark for a moment before broadcasting the terrible news to billions of people. Humanity's first contact with the galaxy had ended not in friendship, but in slaughter. Grief swept across Earth like a wave. Families mourned loved ones who would never come home. Cities held vigils, lighting candles for the lost crews of the First Fleet. For days, the world seemed to stop, frozen in sorrow and disbelief. Many people had believed peace was possible. Now they understood painfully that the galaxy was not as gentle as they had hoped. But grief was not the only thing stirring beneath the surface. In a hidden location deep beneath the mountains of Nevada, far from public eyes, a very different reaction was taking place. Inside a massive underground facility, one that did not appear on any public map, alarms began to sound. Lights flickered on in long dormant control rooms. Screens that had been dark for decades came alive. For 30 years, ever since a strange and unexplained encounter near the edge of the solar system, Earth's leaders had kept a secret from the rest of the world. They had never told the public what really happened that day, when an unknown probe had entered the solar system, scanned Earth's defenses, and left without a word. It had been a warning, a sign that space was far more dangerous than anyone realized. Instead of causing panic, Earth's governments quietly began preparing, just in case. They built shipyards no one knew existed, buried deep underground and hidden inside asteroids in the outer solar system. They trained soldiers and pilots in secret, told they were part of classified research programs. They developed weapons and technology far beyond what the public First Fleet had carried, technology kept hidden because the Council feared what might happen if the galaxy learned Earth was preparing for war. Now that secret program had a name whispered only among a select few, Project Aegis, and with the destruction of the First Fleet, the final trigger had been pulled. It was time for Aegis to wake up. In the command center deep beneath Nevada, an old, tired-looking man named Admiral Marcus Cole stood in front of a giant screen showing the last transmission from the asterisk horizon. He had helped build Project Aegis from nothing, spending 30 years of his life preparing for a day he hoped would never come. Now that day had arrived. "They wanted peace," he said quietly to the officers around him. "We gave them ships built for peace. Now the galaxy has shown us what it thinks of that." He turned to face the room, his eyes hard and determined. "It's time to show them what we really built." Behind him, deep in hidden hangars carved into rock and ice, hundreds of massive ships sat waiting, silent and dark, like sleeping giants. Unlike the First Fleet, these ships had never been shown to the public. They had never even been given peaceful names. They were built for one purpose only: to protect humanity if the galaxy ever proved itself an enemy. That day had come, and Earth's true fleet was about to wake up. As the sun set over the Nevada desert, deep below the surface, lights turned on across an entire hidden city of steel and machinery. Engineers rushed to their stations. Pilots who had trained for decades without ever expecting to fly in real combat sat down in their cockpits for the first time with shaking hands. Somewhere far above, the people of Earth mourned their lost heroes, unaware that beneath their feet, an army had been waiting all along. Admiral Cole picked up a communicator and spoke to the President of the United Earth Council. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of 30 years of secrecy. "Madam President," he said, "Aegis is ready. Say the word, and we bring our people home a very different kind of fleet." There was a long pause on the other end. Finally, the President's voice came through, quiet but firm. "Do it, Admiral. Show them who we really are." Far above, the stars glittered coldly over a grieving planet. But deep below the ground, the true story of humanity's fleet was only just beginning. News of the First Fleet's destruction spread across Earth like fire through dry grass. Every screen, every wall display, every handheld device showed the same images. 10 proud ships, launched with hope, reduced to wreckage in the dark. People who had cheered at the launch now wept in the streets. Governments that had promised a bright future for humanity now faced anger, fear, and grief from their citizens. But behind closed doors, far from the public eye, something else was happening. The wheels of Project Aegis, hidden for 30 years, were finally turning. Admiral Marcus Cole had not slept in 2 days. He walked through the underground command center, watching as thousands of engineers, pilots, and soldiers prepared for something they had trained for their entire careers but never truly believed would happen. The reality of it was heavy in the air. This was no longer a drill. This was war. 30 years earlier, everything had changed because of a single event that the public still knew nothing about. A strange, silver probe had entered the solar system, moving in a way no human technology could match. It had scanned Earth for exactly 6 hours, studying cities, communication signals, and military bases before leaving as quietly as it had arrived. No message was sent. No demand was made. It simply left. At the time, world leaders panicked in private while keeping calm in public. If something out there was powerful enough to scan an entire planet without effort and choose to leave without explanation, then the galaxy was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Instead of announcing this to the world and causing panic, a small group of leaders made a quiet decision. They would prepare Earth for the worst, without anyone knowing, until the day it was truly needed. That decision became Project Aegis. For 3 decades, hidden shipyards were built in secret. Deep under the ice of Europa, inside hollowed-out asteroids near Jupiter, and beneath mountain ranges on Earth itself, humanity quietly built a second fleet, one far more powerful than anything shown to the public. Unlike the First Fleet, built with diplomacy and openness in mind, the ships of Project Aegis were built with only one purpose: survival. Admiral Cole had been a young engineer when the program began. Over the years, he had risen to lead it, sacrificing much of his personal life for a secret he could never share, not even with his own family. He had watched hundreds of young men and women join the program, trained in secret academies that told cover stories to the outside world. Most of them believed they were part of advanced research divisions. Few knew the true size and purpose of what they were building. Now, as reports of the First Fleet's destruction spread, Cole finally received the order he had waited 3 decades to hear. It was time to reveal Project Aegis to the galaxy and to the people of Earth. The president of the United Earth Council, a woman named Elena Duarte, called an emergency meeting of world leaders. In a private, heavily guarded room deep beneath the council building, she explained what Project Aegis truly was. Shock spread across the faces of leaders who had never been told the full truth. Some were angry that such a massive secret had been kept from them. Others understood immediately why it had been necessary. "We didn't know what was out there," President Duarte explained, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "We hoped for peace, so we sent the First Fleet with open hands, but we prepared for the possibility that peace might not be enough. That day has come. Now we must decide. Do we reveal what we built and stand ready to defend,